Yes, you better believe I'm live. I am alive and kicking. What a busy day I had today. I met with our client tomorrow, Aesthetics for Men. They gave me a hair massage, Clay, to rejuvenate my scalp so I can get more hair growth. Who doesn't need more hair growth? I mean, I need more hair growth, and especially in the back. I did a Raiders Zoom. I was the guest on the Silver and Black show talking about George Atkinson. I did a podcast with Looney. And I'm doing this show. And then after the show, I'm doing Raiders Rundown. Who is busy? Oh, and the Dodgers lost. Where are all the cocky Dodger fans? Clay, do you know where the cocky Dodger fans are? The cocky, we're going to win, we're a dynasty. Where are the Dodger fans? Everybody's doing well. What are we doing to grow the channel? Are you sharing this? You go on YouTube, there's a share button. Can you please share it? We got wasted talent on today. Wasted talent. We have Lee Sterling. Big D has to tell me how Lee Sterling's done as of late. We have Vince Sapienza from our morning show. And we have Levi Edwards. I mean, who the hell gives you a show like that other than Clay in the morning? Thank you. Army joining the game. Oh, and tomorrow I'm live at La Casa Cigars.
KRLV Las Vegas. It's the JT the Brick Show.
You know, we're going to have a lot of positive energy. The guys that love to compete and play with passion are going to have a chance at the place.
Your Silver and Black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Man, I'm loving it, man. They're making my job tremendously easy to be out here with these young, talented players, man. I think we have a really good team. I'm super excited. I'm already loving this fan base. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
I'm fired up. I'm ready to roll. Raider Nation unite on the flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio, and the YouTube channel, where yesterday Clay and I did a YouTube short little mini monologue because we were knocked off the air. We were knocked off the air for technical difficulties. I never mentioned technical difficulties because the listener doesn't care. We have new listeners today. Right, Clay? They weren't here yesterday. They don't know about our technical.
It's not their deal. It's irrelevant now.
But I could have played golf yesterday. I didn't play golf yesterday, but tomorrow I'm live at La Casa Cigars, noon to 2. Who's coming out? Who's coming out tomorrow to have a stick with me, a cigar? Gonna go see Mike over at La Casa Cigars tomorrow, noon to 2. Halloween. I always say this in Vegas. Be careful on Halloween in your neighborhoods driving. We got bad drivers out here. We got really bad drivers and kids getting costumes, and at nighttime they trick or treat. So be careful wherever you're listening around the country. Halloween, isn't that the official holiday of the Raiders, right? Raider Nation dressing up Halloween. So tomorrow we're at La Casa. We'll be there from noon to 2. We'll have some cigars. We got good prizes, Grimaldi's gift cards, T-shirts, whole bunch of other stuff here. You know, I don't do a lot of these, so when I get out on the road, I hope you can see us there. If you're coming to town on Friday, if you're in Vegas, please join me tomorrow. So I was telling, a mini monologue to everybody who's watching us live on X or on YouTube, where you get some bonus coverage for no additional price, for free, at JT the Brick YT on YouTube. I had a busy day today. So I got up this morning and I went and saw our client, our partner, Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men, and they gave me a scalp treatment, Clay, to rejuvenate my hair. And a lot of men, younger than me and older than me, suffer from hair loss. I'm pretty good, considering what I could have been. And so they gave me this unbelievable treatment where they worked on my scalp with a red light, and they put an infusion into my scalp, infusion with all these moisturizers and all of that. Oh my God, I almost fell asleep again. Tomorrow Aesthetics for Men. It was incredible. It's a men's spa, and it's right on Sahara. And if you want to go, they'll do anything from weight loss to facials for guys. It's really cool, and the lighting's great, and the chairs are amazing. it's kind of like going to a spa experience for men, and they're really cool. So I did that today, and then I did a podcast with Tom Looney, my happy chatter companion. We did that. That's on my YouTube channel, where our podcasts are. And then I was a guest today on the Silver and Black Show. You know, I host a couple of Raider TV shows, Raiders Roundtable with Eric Allen, and then Raiders Rundown. And there's another show we have, the Silver and Black Show. And I was the first ever host of that show in 1998 with George Atkinson. And George Atkinson died this week. So I was the guest on the show and got a little emotional talking about George and the George's impact on my life in Raider Nation. So that took a lot out of me. I was on probably 15 minutes. And by the time it was done, I felt like I was on for 2 hours because I was talking about George, and I could feel the blood drain from me, talking about my dear friend and my Raiders mentor. So it's been a tough week for my wife and I because we love George. Mrs. Davis, we love Mrs. Davis. Oh, my God. We talked about Mrs. Davis, of course. And the George loss, number 43, the hitman, George Atkinson, is having a deep, profound effect on me. I don't know how much it's going to affect me when I get to the weekend here. It'll probably hit me harder when I get to the stadium on Sunday. But, you know, we're dedicating the energy of this show all week to Mrs. Davis and George Atkinson. I don't think we got enough George calls. I'm kind of disappointed on that. We've had a bunch of George guests, Phil Villapiano, Charles Woodson. I've been texting back and forth with Rod Woodson, Tim Brown, Freddie Bolitnikoff I talked to today. Freddie Bolitnikoff went to Mrs. Davis service, the private service for Mrs. Davis up in the Bay Area. So I talked to Fred about that today. And losing George is tough on me and the Raider Nation because a lot of our fans knew George. They hung out with George. They had beers with George. And they love George. So it's going to take – this one hurts. They all hurt. They all hurt whenever someone passes away, but this one really hits hard. So thanks for giving me the chance to do what I do this week because I'm not in a good place at all because we lost a great friend, and my wife and I and my sons. George treated my sons like his sons. We're having a tough time this week. But we got to get back to work here and talk about the Raiders. So Chip Kelly speaking. We're going to take that press conference at some portion of the show. And I really think this is the Chip Kelly game. And let me bring that up as I kick off the monologue brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. Do not take this out of context, please. Why am I calling this the Chip Kelly game? Because Chip's got to get going with this offense, and I don't think it's his fault. I really don't. As I said earlier today, Chip Kelly probably has 1,000 plays. Not 100, not 500, 1,000. And all of them worked. Every single play has worked, either at Oregon, with the Eagles, with Ohio State. Wherever he's ran these plays, they've worked. They've worked a lot, enough to get him $6 million a year. The highest paid offensive coordinator ever. You know, when they said this week, the defensive tackles that have signed, Aiden Hutchinson, and they started setting up who's the highest paid defensive ends. Well, Micah Parsons is the highest paid defensive end of all time. At one point, the highest paid quarterback of all time was Deshaun Watson of Cleveland. Okay? The highest paid offensive coordinator of all time is Chip Kelly. There's been a lot of good offensive coordinators. Remember Kyle Shanahan before he was the head coach? Remember Sean McVay? Do you remember John Gruden was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles? There's been a lot of good offensive coordinators. Chip Kelly is the highest paid ever. It's pretty important. I'd like to be the highest paid radio host ever. I've done well, but I'm not making $6 million a year. I'm trying. So this game is really important for Chip. He's got to go all in this game. Excuse the pun. All the chips have to be in. He's got to go all in. So I think that Chip Kelly has got to do two things in this game. Very important game. Three. Number one, he's got to get Ashton Jeanty open in the running lanes. He's got to decide where they're running the ball. Are we running to the right or are we running to the left? Because we can't run up the middle. We are so bad at running up the middle. The people at Allegiant Stadium in section 413 know when we're running up the middle. Do not run up the middle. We're not good at that. We're not good at running up the middle. Please don't run the ball up the middle. There are no holes. So either running it to the left or the right. Run it behind Michael Mayer or run it behind the left side, put a receiver in motion so he can hit a linebacker. Do something. Ashton Genty's got to get going. Number 2, hold me to this. My head will pop. It will pop if Brock Bowers doesn't have 10 receptions. Not 10 targets. No, Clay. Not 10 targets. I need 10 receptions for 90 yards and a touchdown. I need that. I'm going into the game. I know that if the Raiders run 53 plays, 61 plays, whatever it is, Bowers is going to have 10. That's the math. And then finally, we got to get Geno going. Oh, boy. We got to get Geno going. Where's the Geno 3-touchdown game? Where's the Geno 4-touchdown game? I told Harris today we have to throw the ball in the end zone. She started laughing because she knows me. You know, there's a few things I say that I should have had copyrighted. Is anybody going to block Kelsey's probably my most famous one. My other big one is run the plays that you run in Henderson. If you're making JT the Brick t-shirts. And when I say all this stuff, when I do the math is very simple. Get Brock Bowers 10 receptions. I'm hosting the postgame show in the press box with Lincoln Kennedy afterwards. I will explode. I don't know if they're going to win or lose the game. I have no idea who's going to win the game. If I don't open up that postgame show with 10 receptions for Brock Bowers, if he's healthy and he doesn't come out of the game, I will lose my mind. I will lose my mind because he's got to have 10 receptions. And then getting back to Geno, Geno's got to throw the ball in the end zone. And I know some wise asses are going to say, well, it'll get picked off and all that. I know. I get that. He's got to throw the ball in the end zone because there might be a flag, Clay. And when you get a flag in the end zone, they put the ball on the 1-yard line. Are you aware of that, Clay? You're aware of that, right?
Move the chains.
Yeah, when you throw it in the end zone and there's holding or there's pass interference, they put the ball on the 1-yard line. We don't do that around here. We don't throw it in the end zone. We check down. We check down and hope that we run in the end zone after the catch. No. We're going to throw it in the end zone. Did I miss anything? Seriously, did I miss anything? Bowers, 10 receptions. Run the ball, not up the middle. Run it to one of the sides. I don't care where you run it. And then throw the ball in the end zone. Okay? That's what I'll be talking about tomorrow at La Casa. Having a Modelo or a Tito's and a cigar. To everybody. I'm just going to say that again. You're going to hear tomorrow's show today. Throw the ball in the end zone. And then I think they'll win the game. We're not playing the 1985 Chicago Bears. We're playing the bleeping Jacksonville Jaguars. Give me a break. They're a good team. That's all they are. They're a good team. They're not elite. Don't tell me you can't do certain things against the Jaguars. Give me a break. Do what you want to do. Al Davis said, we will do what we want to do. We will throw the ball downfield. We will attack in the vertical game. And we will do what we want to do. We're going to dictate what we want to do. Now, Jacksonville's pretty good on defense. They got a bunch of athletes on that defense, man. They're good. They got edge rushers. They got linebackers. They're really good. They're not great in the secondary. I think you can attack them. And to give Chip Kelly a lot of credit here, because he's not getting any credit because the team's playing terrible on offense. Chip hasn't had Brock Bowers since really the third quarter of our first game. Chip doesn't have Colt Miller. Chip has got a lot of guys who are hurt, and it's not all on Chip Kelly. But the play calling has been below average. And I think it's below average, I really do, because Chip doesn't have the players. Chip doesn't have the elite offensive line that he had in the past. Chip doesn't have the players that he had at Ohio State at the college level. He doesn't. So, I don't know. Maybe Chip is doing something that he thinks is really simple because he doesn't have enough good players. Who cares? These guys are good players. They're in the NFL. Can all these players run 15-yard in and out routes? Can all these players go 10 yards and sit in a window and turn around and catch a football? They're in the NFL. Can't these offensive linemen block? Can't these offensive linemen put their hands on people and move them? Because we know the play. We know the snap count. We dictate the play. Can we do that? We haven't done it all year. Haven't done it all year. Can we do that and get this going? That's the topic of the show today. So we're running out of time. It's Thursday. Usually on Friday, I ask for the score. On Thursday, I ask for the game plan. So Raider fans, thank God we had the bye week after Kansas City. Can you imagine if I had to do a whole week of radio after Kansas City? Can you imagine that? I didn't even talk about Kansas City. I was in Naples, Florida, golfing with my son and dad. I ran from those shows, man. I couldn't get out of here quick enough. So I didn't do a lot of Kansas City talk. Burn the tape. Yeah. But I'm doing a lot of Jaguar talk today. So if you are a Jaguar fan, and Clay, I want to remind you also, Rick Ballou will join us today. Rick Ballou in Jacksonville, one of their hotshot talk show hosts in Jacksonville. Almost forgot that one. So we'll have him coming up here in a little bit too. The number is 702-365-9200, and I don't have my phone with me, Clay, so when you get that to me, I'll see if anybody calls in. And we're going to play Chip Kelly when Chip is available. We'll do that. Oh, I forgot one other thing. I apologize. Where are the Dodger fans? Oh, no! Where is Paul Gutierrez? Where is Harry Ruiz? I love Harry. Who loves Harry? I think I helped bring Harry into the world of Raider Nation, and he's much bigger Raider Nation. He's a play-by-play voice. Harry! Someone put the bat light on, Clay. The Harry Ruiz, Paul Gutierrez bat light. If anybody's on Twitter, thank you. If anybody's on Twitter, please let Harry Ruiz or Paul Gutierrez know that the Dodgers are on the verge of elimination. The verge of elimination. So, as we get going here, I'm going to tell you this one time. I don't think it's over. The Dodgers are pitching Yamamoto. He's unbeatable. Yamamoto? That guy ain't going to lose. That guy's unbelievable. I want him on my Yankees. Where's Yamamoto? But Toronto's good. Clay, do you believe how good Toronto is? I mean, we knew they were good in the American League. They were the best. But did you think they were this good?
They're confident, and they're not intimidated by the Dodger mystique, which makes them even more dangerous because they have nothing to lose coming up next.
Yes. Vince Sapienza joins us from our morning show. Vince, have you done a wellness check on Paul Gutierrez and Harry Ruiz, the Raider Nation Dodger guys? Because I still think they could win. I really do. I think they're going to be okay. What do you think?
Well, normally I would take the brunt of everything, but since Clay's on the show, I'm going to blame Clay. We had Harry on before, what was it, Game 4?
Yeah, that's
that
right.
didn't go so well. So I think it's Clay's fault that we put the hex on Harry, and he was all hopped up. He thought it was going to go 5 at most. And but I think we're going to get a Game 7. I think we're getting Game 7 because the series has been far too good, far too entertaining. And then we'll see where the chips lie, Game 7. But I have not done a wellness check. It's probably a bad job by me, but I think they'll be fine because we're getting to Game 7.
I think we should get to a Game 7. And then don't you think if the Dodgers get to Game 7, they got Ohtani, they got they shouldn't. I think Toronto will look across and say, oh, my God, they're the world champs. They got Ohtani. They got Mookie Betts. All I think the Dodgers have to do is get to Game 7. But Game 6, Toronto is going to be wild. You've been in some loud hockey arenas, Canada, here in the States, man. Those Toronto fans are pretty into it, so it's going to be fun to watch. Let's get to the Raiders. I was talking to Clay. I didn't get a chance to hear you like I normally do today. What is the pulse of Raider Nation? I call this the Chip Kelly game. Chip's got to get this thing moving against Jacksonville. How do you see it?
Yeah, the onus is firmly on two people, and if I had to lean one way or another, it would be Chip, right? But at the same time, Geno has to be the guy that was sold from Seattle. He has to be the guy. And we've been talking a lot on the morning shows in the last few weeks, and we've been questioning, was was the game in New England an anomaly, right? Like, was that what we were hoping for, best case scenario, and now that's just the best as it was going to get for the Raiders? And in my heart of hearts, I don't believe it was an anomaly. The Raiders haven't had their full deck of cards, right? And while we've heard from Raider Nation say there's injuries throughout the league, I understand that. We understand that. But the way the Raiders are built, they're still in the infancy of as Pete Carroll likes to call their program, right? Like, they are still very top heavy with their stars, and beneath them, you take those guys out and it doesn't look good. We saw what we saw when you take out Max and Adam Butler, obviously no Brock Bowers, no Jacoby, and you pile on not playing well, and you get what you got in Arrowhead, right? And I know Raider Nation is doing their best to erase that from their memories. A lot of us are. But it's one of those things that Brock is back, Jacoby is back, regardless of what happens at the trade deadline. He has his full complement of weapons on the offense. Geno has to perform. Enough is enough now, right? Like, the last couple games, he didn't throw interceptions. Great. Now elevate the game. He has to elevate his game. And Chip Kelly has to get, has to be that creative guy. There's a reason he's the most expensive assistant in the NFL. You have to show it now. You have to prove it. And so I think this is the game that they have to do. And I think if they do that, not only are they going to be competitive, they're going to have a real chance to win. Because I still don't know who this Jacksonville Jaguars team is. A team that goes on the road in San Francisco, beats them, beats Kansas City at home, and then loses 2 straight. So I don't know who they are. So I think the Raiders have an opportunity here. And I don't know what the rest of the season will hold. But this is a game that they can win. And they should win if the offense comes anything close to what we saw in New England.
Vince Sapienza is our guest. I didn't spend a lot of time. I'm going to do it today and all day tomorrow talking about the defense. Lonnie Johnson coming back. Max, it seems like Max will be ready to go. They want to give him more time, whatever that's going to be with Max. But defense better play good in this game. Brian Thomas had a huge game here last year, really good player. I think he only has 1 touchdown this year. Clearly, they have a player that can play both ways. On top of that, what a great athlete, and they can run it with Etienne. So Patrick Graham's defense, as he just spoke, better be alarmingly good in this game because there's a lot of fast playmakers on Jacksonville.
Yeah, we had a conversation in the morning this week about, what does progress look like for the Raiders this week, right? Like, what does progress look like for the Raiders? And Vinny was on the offensive side, and probably rightfully so. But for me, it's that defensive line, right? Like, and I know it was against the Tennessee Titans. JT, you were there. Clay was there as well. When that defensive line were making the plays, 6 sacks on the day, Lecky Fotu, Jonah Laulu, it wasn't just the Max show, right? Like, everyone got involved.
Mm-hmm.
It did something to the sideline. It did something inside Allegiant Stadium, and that just bled into the rest of the game. And the offense was able to move the ball, and it just created, some, lack of a better phrase, hope, right? Like, just, okay, this team is really clicking on all cylinders. And now the next step is not just the defensive line getting home. Take the ball away. Like, create something. Can we get a scoop and score? Can we get a pick 6?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a game-changing, game-altering play from that defense, from anyone? I don't care who it is. I mean, you saw what Max was able to do in the Chicago game when he tips the ball to himself. He comes up with the INT, and the place went insane. It went bananas. And it bled into the rest of the game and the complementary football that everybody vies for and tries for. And I agree with you. To me, the defense really needs to make some game-changing type plays and really turn the tide. Because to me, it's not good enough just getting the stops anymore. Clearly, the defense is the part of the team right now that needs to take the brunt of it. Because the offense is taking too long to find themselves. It's too sporadic. And as good as Ashton Genty has been, it's not something you can hang your hat on consistently. So why not the defense? Go out and do something that nobody expects. Put some points on the board, defense. That's something that I know Patrick Graham is fiending for, salivating for, but go do it now. And I do think this defense has pieces that can make plays like that. It's a matter of going out and doing it. Patrick Graham 2 weeks ago was asked about taking the ball away, right? And he got so frustrated at this presser. He's like, I can't even say what I want to say because I'm tired of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can put them in position, we can scheme, we can do all this stuff. At some point, somebody has to go make a play. Gino said it last week. Somebody just has to make a play. And I know he's talking to himself, more so than pointing the finger, but somebody has to go do it. Who's going to go do it? Offense, defense, somebody, anybody, go make a play.
Vince Sapienza, let's spend the final few moments here talking about my hockey team. Yes, my hockey team, the Vegas Golden Knights. I love my Vegas Golden Knights, some VGK. Are they a team when they play someone really good, they're going to lose or go to overtime, or are they the best team in hockey? When you go east and you got to play Florida and Tampa and Carolina and good teams, it used to be if you had to go east and play, back in my day, the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils, that was just assault because it was just hard. Everyone was partying in New York City. All the hockey players were out till 4 a.m. because they're in New York City. But when the Florida run and what they're doing in the Southeast is a tough spot. How does this team look health-wise overall, and how good can they be?
Yeah, that East Coast, it's the first East Coast trip they made, obviously. They never play well in Florida. Outside of the Stanley Cup final, they don't play well in Florida. For whatever the reason, Bruce Cassidy tried to take the team out a day earlier so they could, get in the mode, get on the time and all that. It didn't work. They played their worst game of the season in Florida. Okay, fine. First regulation loss. The next day in Tampa, they have a goaltender in Carl Lindbaum who makes his NHL debut. And you're sitting there saying, well, that's going to be a loss. He was the best player on the team. The team was stuck in neutral. They couldn't get their skates on. They were stuck in the mud. They couldn't move, and he was the best player. He earned them a point. So you take 1 point out of 4 on the weekend, and then they go out and play the last team to lose in regulation, to suffer a loss, I should say, was Carolina. They beat them 8 days prior at T-Mobile Arena pretty handily. And then they, in a very exciting game, I must say, they go out and get a regulation win against the Hurricanes. So they found their footing on the final game of the road trip. And to your point, I'll stand by what I told you a month ago. To me, this is a top 4 team in the NHL, and they should finish like it, and I think they should be in the Stanley Cup final this year. Mark Stone is obviously injured. He's out week to week with what looks to be a wrist injury. That's a problem. The guy can't catch a break, but the non-Golden Knights hockey fans will sit there and say there's a conspiracy of some kind. I don't know what it is this year, but they don't like another injury to Mark Stone. This team is so good. Jack Eichel is playing like the best player on the planet right now, and it's not even close. Mitch Marner hasn't even found his stride with this team, and he's still a point-per-game player. The goalie situation is interesting, right? Aiden Hill is hurt again. That's a problem. Akira Schmidt has played fine when he's been in there. Carl Lindbaum, who I just mentioned in his NHL debut, played amazing. You can't rely on him to get you to the Stanley Cup final. It just can't happen. And the whole Carter Hart situation, we'll see. We'll see what he looks like when he's eligible to play come December. But that's the biggest question mark. Can this team get goaltending when it matters most, and that's in the spring? So you got a lot of runway from now till then. But this team is as good as any in the NHL. And right now they are playing a brand of hockey that is exciting. They are scoring a ton of goals. Bruce Cassidy's not liking the number of goals being given up, but right now it's an exciting brand of hockey.
All right, what are the kids doing for Halloween? Let's go.
Well, they'll be going to the Golden Knights game tomorrow, Nevada Day.
Yes.
They don't know that yet. It's a surprise. Jack, as you know, it's his birthday on Halloween. So it's pretty much whatever. He's going to get stuffed on popcorn at the game tomorrow, pizza with the family, trick-or-treating till they can't walk anymore. And then the weekend, he says it's an extension of his birthday. Now that he's 9 and he can actually think. So now his birthday is more than just a day, JT. It's become a whole weekend.
Wow. So his birthday's on Halloween. It's like
bingo. Yeah.
I was born on Thanksgiving. So it's kind of weird when it's not it's not Christmas or Thanksgiving, but does he like it? Does he like having the Halloween birthday? Do you give him a 2-for-1? I mean, it's cake and candy, everything. He loves it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he loves it. We used to tell him before, he smartened up, that the whole neighborhood celebrated his birthday by dressing up, and he couldn't believe it. Now you say it to me, it's Dad. They're old now, JT. As you know, it happens too quick.
Yes.
I can't believe he's 9, but here we are.
Have a good one. I wish I have a radio show tomorrow. I'd be at the hockey game. I mean, maybe Clay can. No, I'm going to be here tomorrow. It's the Jaguars game. So I'll see you. I'll see you Sunday at Allegiant.
Thanks, JT.
There he is, the great Vince Sapienza, part of our morning team here. You guys all get together here in the studio, right? Because he lives in deep Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Vinny lives in deep Henderson.
They're out there, and thankfully on Friday they get to do the show at the Raiders facility.
Okay.
So that helps them out a little bit. But that's a long drive in the morning.
I do it 3 days a week now, from the mean streets of Summerlin to deep Henderson. We're lucky we live here. There's no traffic, knock wood. I mean, 8:30 in the morning on the 215 to the 15. Knock on wood, it's pretty easy. If that's what San Francisco, I lived in LA for 10 years.
I remember.
If you told me that I had to be, say, at the Raiders in LA at 9 a.m., I'd leave at like 7:15, just in case there was traffic. Here, it's not that bad. So we're going to have a fun day tomorrow at La Casa Cigars. I want to thank Big D. He sent me a picture that I'll tweet out. Years ago, I went as Count Bricula to the Raider game. And I just found the picture of me as Count Bricula. And maybe there'll be a Count Bricula tomorrow, but I don't know. I got to figure that out. I had a late night last night. Late night last night on a school night. So we'll see how if I put on the Count Bricula outfit, I normally have to back it up with a big night out. Big night out with Modelo. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. So that's the monologue. Thanks to Vince Sapienza. Wasted Talent at 1:30. The elite podcaster. He's fantastic. We also have Rick Ballou from Jacksonville, the Jags sideline reporter. Who better than him to talk about the Jags? Lee Sterling will join us, and he'll give you 3 games for free coming up here. And then I'm going to try to slide in Levi Edwards. Going to try to slide him in there if we can get him going. So that's what we got lined up today, and we're really excited. We got some big shows, and I don't do must-win. I've never been the must-win guy. The only must-win game is when you get eliminated from playoff contention. The Raiders aren't, but it feels like this is not a playoff year. It feels like it. I hope I'm wrong. But this is a big game. I can't imagine what would happen if the Raiders don't win on Monday. I can't imagine what could happen if the Raiders don't win on Monday. In our home building with our fans against Jacksonville after we got boat raced by Kansas City. Boat raced. Didn't even show up, didn't even compete. I can't imagine the Raiders ever playing that badly again. That was a bad football game. Let's have a good football game. We're brought to you by M-Ride. I was with Teo Johnson last night, the vision behind M-Ride. Go to Allegiant Stadium via M-Ride. We got a discount. If you put in my name, just put Brick in, you'll get a discount. It's how my wife gets to the games via M-Ride. They have pickup locations. Go to mride.com. Take those beautiful shuttle buses into the game and out of the game. You'll thank me for it.
It's the morning.
All right. So who was that guy I just banned? What was that guy I banned? What's his name? God, he was, I'm trying to focus on the show, and I got to ban someone for being an a-hole? What's going on here, man? What's going on?
Everything all right? Correctly, the result of not having
Sporting tailgate.
What's going on?
Oh, you're talking to your chat.
Yeah, I'm talking to my chat, but I have a mute button here if you have to tell me anything.
No, it was just, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, no, did something break?
No, we're all good. Everything's running nice. Everything's running smooth. I appreciate it when anybody makes a donation. You don't have to make a donation here. This is a free site, but when you do, that money goes to my son, who's right out of college looking for a job, and he works for me, so that money goes to him, so I thank you. But I'll never ask you for money. If you want to make a donation or throw in some money for whatever reason, I greatly appreciate that.
to Salmon Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, with integrity, experience, and authenticity. We're champions for the underdog. Life happens, and when you need help, you deserve a team without hidden agendas.
Hey, thanks for finding the account curricula. Appreciate that. Thank you. Evan Hussey. Who's Evan Hussey?
What's right?
Thank you, Hugdies or Hoogdies. Thank you. You know, I do have a mod father for the account here. It's Big D. Big D. He's my moderator. My son's my moderator, but Big D can just reach out to me and tell me who's acting up. And Big D doesn't rat anybody out. He doesn't rat anybody out at all. He just tells me when immature a-holes get in here and try to do things. That's it.
Require good credit. So how does that work at Dollar Loan Center? But a lot of people have a crappy credit score. So what? That's our specialty. If you look at the whole picture, conscious enough. We love to say yes quickly.
Oh.
We're still looking for a loan. We can go somewhere else and pay way too much.
He said, if the Raiders lose, what will Monday be like? That's what it said.
We should chance to help you.
Yeah. That's okay. No problem.
What did he want to know?
I think he's got it wrong. The Raiders will play on Monday night. I think he took what you were saying, like, what will Monday be like?
God. Oof.
They'll have to critique, dude. That means, like, can you imagine somebody who listens that tightly?
Modelo is an official
Yeah.
the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show.
All right, we are at
Rich, full-flavored
90 seconds.
lager, delivering a crisp.
Are we doing Lee at 12:45?
Yes, Lee at 12:45.
All right, cool. We can play chip here if you want.
Wow, man, another guy making a $50 donation. Thank you. Wow, that's very nice of you. Jesus, appreciate that. My son can have a couple of Modelo's for that. Thank you. You know how much Modelo cocktails cost in Vegas?
Presentation come together. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery. To learn more, go to Paul Title Law.
I will come back with Gino talking about self-scouting.
No,
Okay.
this week.
If you want to throw the chip, it's ready.
Okay.
Town. Best happy hour in Las Vegas. There's no better place to be.
So you have Chip ready.
Right.
And did you say anybody on hold or no?
No one's on hold. Open line.
No one's on hold on my big Raiders radio show. That's kind of lame. That's really lame. No one on hold for the longest tenured Raiders show ever. Maybe we should be like some of those shows that don't take any calls and just do 2 hours of me.
Raiders right before they hit the field again in November. Because they'll lose the insurance and military.
Yeah, you know, we took one break. We can when do you want to break for Lee? You got him at
43.
Yeah.
42, 43.
So we got Chip. Let's go to Chip Kelly.
Welcome back to the JT Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
You know, some good things, and then some things that we have to improve on. Obviously, the main thing is protecting the football. You know, keeping the ball out of the defense's hands and making sure our defense is able to rest on the sideline and not have short fields to play with. And then, you know, just continuing to be efficient, getting that explosion back that we kind of had to start the season, but also taking what they give us and being efficient, and just overall developing and learning. You know, again, we're still learning each other, and you know, now is that point of the season where you start to, you know, you either get better or you get worse. And so we're going to get better as a team. And, you know, I'm really excited about that.
That's Geno Smith. And, you know, it's tough for Geno. Every time he has a bad game, he's got to go to the podium. He's got to go to the podium and explain why he didn't play well. I don't think Geno wants to do that anymore. I think Geno would like to actually go to the podium and smile after a victory and go have a good time. Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator, just met with the media. Let's listen in.
How our quarterbacks are going through when it comes to joining a new team. Just as a coordinator, just what's that process like for you in terms of getting adjusted?
Yeah, I think for our whole staff, just getting it was, really learning your players and what their strengths are. And then how do you play to those strengths, compared to who you're playing. You know what I mean? Like this, hey, this is a great team to throw the ball 60 times against. Well, if that's not your strength, then that may be a great thing to do against them, but that may not work out the way you wanted it to. So I think the longer you're together, the better understanding you have an understanding of what players do. You learn that some players are inside receivers because being an inside receiver and being an outside receiver are two entirely different things. The picture that they see is totally different. Some guys can really flourish and there are other guys that gets confusing. So they're better outside looking in than they are inside looking out. Same thing on the offensive line. Like, guys can play because they're athletic enough to play multiple positions, but what is their best position? Trying to sort that part out, as you're still getting ready to play opponents and play teams. So, and as you're sorting that out, what are their strengths? So what do you do? What type of run scheme do you match to the 5 offensive linemen you have? And then obviously you have to adjust because when you lose Colton, then all of a sudden now you got another guy to the mix. So what are his strengths? And without having seen him that long, starting to learn Stone a little bit more and what he can do and where we are with it. So there's that whole process of everybody when you have a new staff that's getting together with new players, even though the players have experience and the staff has experience. We've got a bunch of guys here that have coached the NFL for a while, but we're all learning each other. So that's a process that's always ongoing and will continue to be ongoing.
And doing some self-evaluation as from the office during this 5 week, just what stood out to you and where do you think this team can take the most necessary strides at?
Yeah, again, it depends on who your opponent is, but I think we got to do a better job. The one thing that's hurting us, are the STPs. So that's sacks, turnovers, penalties. So, in those categories, and you got to look at them all specifically. So look at every sack that's happened. Was that a byproduct of a good rush? Was that a byproduct of a scheme? Was that a byproduct of a player breakdown? Was that a byproduct of a missed assignment? Same thing with every turnover that happened. What was the reason for the turnover and how did that happen? And then is there a recurring theme to it? So if there is a recurring theme, then there's an easy fix of how do you do that? Or does everyone have its own identity to it? And then the penalty part of it, because when you're not playing downhill football and you're going backwards, so you have a 1st and 10 to a 2nd and 6 to a penalty. So now you're 2nd and 16. Well, 2nd and 16 is a difficult conversion in this league. So, trying to stay ahead. And then why did the penalty occur? Was it a missed assignment? Was it a technique issue? And then detailing it out with the individual players that when that happened to them.
Did you teach a lot off the Kansas City tape? Or is that what you just wanted to?
We teach off of every tape. So anytime you have film and every time you have an opportunity, there was a prime example. You're moving the ball and you get a penalty. So now you're 3rd and 16 against a really good defense. And the issue in that game is if you can't stay on the field, they're going out for 17 play drives, 19 play drives. You're not going to get the ball back for a while the way they were clicking on the offensive side of the ball. So that's all part of it. But you look at everything and you teach off of everything. They're all opportunities for us to improve. I've never been at the thing, let's get rid of that game and bury it and then let's just move on. Well, then I think you're shortchanging your ability to get better. What happened? What were the reasons that it happened? And then let's make the corrections.
Chip, as the offensive coordinator, how did not having Jacoby impact you?
Yeah, I think anytime you don't have Jacoby, anytime you don't have Brock, anytime you don't have Colton, 3 of your top players, that has to impact you. But everybody in the NFL deals with the same thing. I don't think there's anybody right now that's playing with the same starting lineup that they started the season with, so that's just part of the deal. There's that fine balance of getting the backups ready. But you only have X amount of reps in practice because the rosters are so much different than college. In college you got 120 guys on a team. In the NFL, you have half of that. So you have to be conscious of how many reps can you get. And if you're going to get those reps, if it's a 10 play rep period, how many go to the ones, how many go to the twos. So you got to train your ones and hope your twos are learning from that situations, but they haven't been thrown into that just because of the limited amount of reps. Walkthroughs are a part of that. So, Jacob's a big part of what we do. Not having him was an issue, but then it's the same. No one feels sorry for you. No one says, hey, you got a couple guys out. So we'll give you a couple points before you start the game. It just doesn't work that way. So it's you just have to adjust and do what you can do with what you have. So.
How difficult is it to do what Travis Hunter's doing and trying to learn plays on both sides when you're a rookie?
Travis is a special player. I got a chance when I was at UCLA to play against him at Colorado, and I think he played every snap on offense and defense in the game and had an interception, was catching balls, and he's truly a unicorn when it comes to that. I think his competitive stamina is, that's the one thing I always kind of marvel at because, this league is tough and every play counts in this league. And if you're running 60 plays on offense, it's taking everything you have to run those 60 plays on offense. And then you flip around and you got to play defense. Usually when you're done, you drive down the field, you score a touchdown, you get a chance to go sit on the bench and go over what just happened, look at the iPad, talk about what our next operation is going to be and where we're going to get the ball and what that's going to look like.
All right, so that's a portion of Chip Kelly. I mean, he's got a tough job, but again, he's making $6 million, and he's got to go meet the media. It's big boy radio. You're not playing well, go talk to the media. Chip answered every question. You heard all the questions. He's telling you what he thinks the penalties going backwards. That conversation from Chip Kelly was brought to you by Remy Martin. Last night, they had their best Halloween costume party at Cassie Beach House. My buddy J.O.D. went by it, said it was nuts. It was massive. Brought to you by Remy Martin. This Friday and Saturday night at Substance Nightclub downtown at Neonopolis. How about that? If you're looking for Halloween, Remy Martin, Friday and Saturday night at Substance Nightclub. The first 100 people through the door get a Remy Martin token to receive a comp Remy Martin and Cointreau featured cocktails. Go check that out. They're going to be a part of our remote on Friday at La Casa. We have these Remy Martin basketballs. They're unbelievable. Like LeBron James would want this. These are basketballs that are black with gold Remy Martin on them. We got plenty for everybody tomorrow. We got like 50 of them. So come by for that. And then start off your November right Saturday. We the Beat with collab host DJ Biscuits at Road Room inside Red Rock. I mean, look at Remy Martin, sip like royalty. Look what Remy Martin does for us. Stephen Brody, Tori, my guys. They're here. They're proud partners because they know we connect to the Raider Nation and the YouTubers at JT the Brick YT. Remy Martin, sip like royalty. Lee Sterling next.
Here, the Gold Circle Sports Bar inside Treasure Island Hotel and Casino is the best place to watch games on the Strip. There's a huge video wall and
Lee
over 50
Sterling
screens
next.
throughout the bar. Place your sports bets at the new STN Sportsbook. The menu with the Golden Circle.
Strengthen our community and communities in schools. Aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm on a roll this football season because I don't miss any betting opportunities with my William Hill Nevada mobile sports app. It allows me to bet on the go with my Android device. If you're an iPhone or iPad person, William Hill has you covered anywhere in the state of Nevada. And when you sign up today for a new William Hill Nevada mobile sports account, you can earn up to a $250 bonus.
No, the show is not over. Every once in a while, I have to have a private conversation that you're not privy to. So we mute the mic or we take what's called the break for a moment, but we're back. Lee Sterling was 3-0 last week. Is that accurate? 3-0. Ooh.
Want to come back with Lamar Jackson cut?
Hey, this isn't just a job. It's a career with real
Lamar Jackson, it's do or die time.
and job security.
Okay.
Who's in it?
Training to 6 figures, and we're ready to help you do the same. Don't wait. Right now at A1 Garage.
I got a busy day today, man. I got to go back to the Raiders. Got to drive back to the Raiders to do Raiders rundown.
JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Coach pretty much touched on that, talking about that dressing a team meeting. You know, each and every game gonna be like a win or go home game. You know, we started off first season ever starting off like this slow, so just do or die right now.
Lamar Jackson, JT, back with you. Hope everyone's doing well. I was off last week. We didn't have Lee Sterling on. He's having a winning season, of course. He's a professional handicapper, and he joins us from Paramount Sports. Lee, let's get rolling here, man. I know you're having a big year, especially on the college side. You have one college play, Texas Vanderbilt here, and I'm an Arch Manning guy. Arch Manning looked pretty good in his last game.
He did look better, but the problem here is the offensive line. I mean, they allowed 12 tackles for loss in that game to Mississippi State. Who would have thought that Vanderbilt? This is the second time in 2 weeks they had the featured game in college football. Why? Well, since the start of last year, they're 15-6 against the spread. Texas, since starting the year in 2024, 4-0 against the spread. They've gone just 6-14 against the spread. They had two great escapes the last 2 weeks in overtime against two bottom feeders in the SEC, Kentucky and Mississippi State. We're not exactly sure if Arch Manning's going to play in this game on Saturday. If he doesn't, his backup, Matthew Caldwell, he is held in such low regard. He's bounced around from Jacksonville State, Gardner-Webb, to Troy, and now Texas. In his 5 starts, he has 8 interceptions here. Unless Texas gets another punt return for a touchdown, special teams has been the only way they've won these big games the last couple of weeks. I'm just not going to bet on it here. I think the wrong team is favored. Vanderbilt straight up 24-20.
Wow. Okay. Vanderbilt straight up. And been hearing a lot about Vanderbilt as of late. And that would eliminate Texas from the playoffs, correct? You can't get in with 3 losses.
No.
Wow.
This year.
Okay. Let's go to the Colts in the NFL. -3 against the Steelers. When is the real Daniel Jones going to show up? I mean, you and I talked about Daniel Jones for years when he was with the Giants and how easy it was for you to make money against him. Yeah. Now with the way they're running the football, and Daniel Jones is playing complimentary football, and the fans in Pittsburgh are really on Mike Tomlin for this field goal kicking Steelers version.
Yeah, so here is the situation with Danny Dimes. You put him around really good players and you coach the kid up. He's got potential. You just got to get him in the right system. Look at Sam Darnold, #1 quarterback right now, rated by Pro Football Focus. So there's not that much of a difference between being good and being below par. And right now, this team, everyone keeps saying, well, they're 7-1. They haven't beaten anyone. Well, look at the Steelers. Twins have come against 1-7 Jets, 2-6 Browns, overrated Vikings team that was injury riddled here. So this is a team that just bottom line wins and wins big here. The Steelers in their other game, they gained only 203 yards. They were aided by those +4 turnovers in their win at New England. So I'm not buying in here on Pittsburgh's going to bounce back here. Indianapolis, I think they're going to exploit some players here, and I'm talking about the safeties and the linebackers. Patrick Queen signed that big contract. He rates 76 out of 80 linebackers, according to Pro Football Focus. The safety, the second safety for the Steelers, how about this? 87th out of 88. So Indianapolis is going to do their work here. They'll run the football, play action. Danny Dimes does it again here. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. Colts, 28-20 over the Steelers.
Colts win and they cover the spread. Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Go to ParamountSports.com. Be associated with this winner. He's a pro. I live in Vegas. All of these frauds don't win. A few do, but most don't. Lee Sterling wins. Go do business with Lee Sterling. Chiefs -2 at the Bills. You know I'm not a gambler. I bet my 401k on the Bills. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I think they're the best team in football, and they're home. You got to be kidding me. The Chiefs are laying points in Buffalo?
No, they might end up winning the Super Bowl, and they were my choice too. Right now, Kansas City's playing football. They got back Rasheed Rice. They are running the ball for once, and the defense, they're just not taking injuries. They're well coached. They have Spagnuolo, Steve Spagnuolo, the only defensive coordinator with 4 Super Bowl rings. Buffalo, wide receivers can't get any separation. Their cornerbacks can't cover a cold here, and they're praying that Matt Milano, their star middle linebacker, returns from a pec injury, and Daquan Jones, defensive tackle, can return from a calf injury. I just think Josh Allen's got to do too much here. Kansas City right now playing the best football. I'm going to lay it here. They're the favorite for a reason here. The right team is favored. Kansas City in a shootout, 37-30.
Wow. 37-30. So you like the over the total too. And that, wow, the Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. And I know you got some knowledge. You were texting me about Houston, your NFL game of the week. And when you have knowledge, I know it's big knowledge. How do we get this game?
Yeah, I love this game here. Texans against Broncos here. A lot on the line. Both teams trying to get the playoffs, maybe win the division. First 5 callers get it for free. Call 800-400-9741. You get the Houston and Denver game on me. And how about this, JT? We've been doing this for almost 25 years. I rate my games from 10 to 50 units occasionally, maybe once a month. We have a 40 to 50 unit max wager. Our record on those games is documented at 73-29. We have not one, not two, for the first time ever, 3 40 to 50 unit max wagers going, 2 in the college, 1 in the NFL. How do you get involved? Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Thank you, Lee. I'll talk to you. Good luck.
Thanks, JT.
You got to do business with Lee Sterling. He's giving the first 5 callers free. Go to ParamountSports.com. And again, you need help if you're going to gamble on sports. I drive around this town and I hear guys saying, I'm on the Packers. Well, what do you mean you're on the Packers? What does that mean? Do you know what that means, Clay, when someone says I'm on the Packers? Do you know if that means $5, $10, $500? What does that mean?
It means they may not even bet at all. They just got them.
Right. I'm on the Packers. I hear guys on gambling networks. They have a prediction on every game. I'm on the Texans. I'm on the Packers. I'm on the Bills. How could you be? Then why are you on the radio working? Why are you doing a shift on the radio? Okay. Go live at the sports book and make real money. I mean, come on, man. They're gonna regulate sports gambling on the radio someday. That's my prediction. They're gonna regulate the knuckleheads on sports gambling and gambling radio who tell you they bet every game and they don't. Why don't the guys who have the sports gambling shows post all their tickets? Just post your ticket. Just show your ticket in your tweet so we know if you're full of crap or not. God, it's so unregulated, man. Someone's got to jump in there. That was a good hour. Good guess. Vince Sapienza, Lee Sterling. And how about this loaded hour? Rick Ballou from Jacksonville, big shot sports talk host. Wasted Talent and Levi Edwards. That's a really good hour. Don't miss it here on the flagship. Brought to you by Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Charles Woodson's Bourbon Whiskey, proud partner of our show.
So here is Chickies and
Yes, Chickies and Pete's tonight.
$6 beers, shot, and cocktail specials, killer food. It's all at Chickies and Pete's at the all-new Sahara this Thursday. That's JT for the Black.
Oh man, I had a few Tito's last night. Man, it's the 5-year anniversary of 8 Cigar Lounge because they're run by our partner Click Hospitality.
Apparel and merchandise created by the fans for the fans. And Black Hole members save 20%. Now at theblackhole.com.
All right, how's everybody doing in the chat?
It's your boy Q Myers from Unnecessary Roughness here on Raider Nation Radio 920. The holidays are just around the corner. It's time to show up in force with Albertsons to combat hunger and stock the pantry at the Salvation Army. Come join us and the rest of Raider Nation Radio 920 on Saturday, November 1st.
So we got a lot of remotes going on. We got Chickies and Pete's tonight. We got
Yeah, I'll be at the Albertsons on Saturday morning.
okay.
The Salvation Army.
Raider Nation Radio 920, Albertsons and the Salvation Army joining together to do the most good.
That's JT for the local 870.
Local 872. I got a lot of freaking live reads I got to catch up on, man. All right, let me get a drink of water. Q Myers for NFL commissioner. I love Q. Kenny, you're a big Q guy, man, huh? Look at that. You should be. Q does a great job. The water. Rick should be calling.
Never been to Grand Canyon West, one of the 7 natural wonders, just 2 hours from Vegas? Well, that's about to change, my friends. During the month of October, all Nevada residents with ID can purchase a buy one, get one all-access pass to experience the mind-blowing canyon and legendary skywalk where there are no words, except maybe to describe the bucket list experience. Visit GrandCanyonWest.com to purchase the buy one, get one all-access pass in October and experience for yourself.
As the holiday season approaches, the Richard Harris Law Firm, Nevada's largest personal injury law firm, is once again spreading cheer with Operation Secret Santa. This heartwarming tradition brings the full Christmas experiences to families in need in Las Vegas. From twinkling trees and festive meals to personalized gifts, delivering joy straight to their doorsteps. To nominate a family, go to richardharrislaw.com. Let's make this season magical together.
Big news, Las Vegas. Les Olson IT has moved to a bigger, better facility to serve you like never before. Our new space means more technology, more service, and more solutions, all designed with you in mind. Plus, we're hiring. If you're ready to grow with a company that values innovation and community, join our team today. Proudly serving Las Vegas for 23 years and counting. Les Olson IT, your business better. Les Olson IT. All work, no play makes for one boring ass week. Kick Gordon to the
Hey, man, ready to see how much our premiums
Three fatalities
your neighborhood tavern
in
today.
Southern Nevada. And the year's not even over yet. It's a lot, man.
for what car?
Yeah, for on the road fatalities. And it's still down from last year.
By Paul Padalaw.
Wow.
It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery. Kevin Harlan here from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Join us all season long for prime time action on the road to the playoffs.
I'll let you know as Rick calls in.
Each week, Hall of Fame quarterback Warner and I will have the college great matchups, along with Mike Golan, senior and junior, in the studio. Don't miss out on the great NFL tradition that is Monday Night Football. Monday nights on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. NCAA football has a home on Raider Nation Radio. Listen to a featured game every Saturday right here on Raider Nation Radio, 9:20 a.m. KRLD Las Vegas. It's the JT the Drink Show.
JT the Show. Oh, here's that. I mean, he's like his track record speaks for itself. He competes every single day, and that's what I love about
Your silver and black team just sound off for 25.
I won't play harder than the guy lining up across the team lining up across from me. And if you're not, then I want to be in the space that's for the Raiders. I see this every day.
And now here's JT the Brick.
Hour number 2 of the show. It's loaded. It's jam-packed. And you should be watching on YouTube. You can watch me play bass like Geddy Lee. Speaking of bass, I'm going to a concert, Clay, on Saturday night. Mammoth, led by Wolfgang Van Halen. So this is Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang Van Halen. His mom is Valerie Bertinelli. I'm going to the show with Valerie Bertinelli. She's the mom. She goes to the show. I'm backstage VIP because the lead guitar player in the band is named Frankie Sidoris. He's also the lead guitar player. Check out this story. He's the lead guitar player for Slash and Miles Kennedy. Okay, he's the lead guitar player for Wolfgang Van Halen and Mammoth. All year, he's playing all around the world. When he's not playing with Wolfie, he's playing with Slash. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of rock and roll. He plays offense and defense. He pitches and catches. He does it all. So I cannot wait Saturday night to see my buddy Frankie Sidoris, his dad, Frank Sidoris, the legend of Cleveland, and to see Valerie Bertinelli and Wolfie and everybody else there. Rick Ballou is ready. Rick Ballou is a legendary sports talk host in Jacksonville. We go back to my years being on overnights in Jacksonville. Rick, good to talk to you. It's been too long. How are you?
JP, everything's great here, and I thought I had it made Saturday in Vegas. I was backstage Friday night here in St. Augustine at the Amp, and got with Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi after their show, and they asked me what I was doing Saturday in Vegas, and I said I had no plans, and they said, why don't you join us? We're going to see the Eagles at the Sphere.
Wow, I got buddies who were going Friday.
Yeah.
So have you been to Sphere yet?
I was there back in March of 24 to see you two, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Well,
it was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I saw that show. Dead and Company was my favorite one just because of the sights of that. The Eagles is going to blow you away. When Don Henley singing in that venue, it's incredible. Vince Gill on guitar. The band is fantastic. And I don't know if you're going to get a chance to do it because I know you're in and out, but Wizard of Oz, when it plays there, is mind-blowing. My wife and I just saw Wizard of Oz there. It's like nothing you've ever seen. So we're really killing it out here with Sphere. You're going to have a good time there.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll be rolling in early Saturday and then, getting out first thing Monday morning. But, it should be a good game. A couple of teams here that are looking to score points, and also coming off a bye.
The Raiders are really struggling, on offense. Gino, that Gino played well in Seattle. The Raiders wouldn't have got Gino if he didn't play well in Seattle. He was a top 10 quarterback when it came to completion percentage, 4,300 yards, played for Pete Carroll before, and now he's just playing so poorly. Brock Bowers is coming back. That should help him there. But Trevor Lawrence, I spent a lot of time in St. Augustine. My in-laws live there. I got a lot of friends who are Jaguar fans. And I thought after the Niner game, he was going to take his game to a much higher level. What happened since that Niner win? Has he regressed a little bit?
Well, he's never been consistent, and that's the biggest problem. He misses a lot of easy throws. I mean, he'll make some that only a couple of guys on this planet can make, but then he'll miss routine layup type of passes. You look at Travis Etienne, who he's been with now for 8 years. If you go back to Clemson, 14 of 22 on, all screens, 5, 6, 7-yard passes. He's missed badly in some of those situations. I feel like I've run out of excuses for Trevor. The Urban thing was a joke, and then, Peterson, then Press Taylor. So now you enter Liam Cohen. He's had 3 head coaches. He's had 4 different play callers. The offensive line has been just awful. And they kind of found themselves the first 4 games of the season. Matter of fact, Jackson was number 1 in the NFL in rushing after 3 weeks, but that's gone by the wayside in the last 2 games. They've allowed, and this is not out of context, this is the truth. They have allowed 76 pressures in the last 2 weeks. Nearly every single drop back by Trevor Lawrence, he has had someone in their face. So you can't run the ball. You can't pass protect. The Jaguars lead the NFL in drops. The Jaguars lead the NFL in wide receiver era. They're missing Brenton Strange, who's not in the class of Brock Bowers, but he's really growing, and he's a multiple tight end that is also a very good blocking tight end. He remains on the IR. He won't play this weekend. So it's a combination of all that that has really reared its ugly head. Not to mention they're number 1 in penalties. They have the most offensive penalties. They have the most pre-snap penalties, whether it's motion, delay a game, false start. So, I say this and you're like, how are they 4-3? how do they have a winning record? And honestly, I was at Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
They should have beaten the Bengals. That was a terrible call on Travis Hunter. He's certainly not getting Jordan rules early on in his career. That was not a pass interference call. Jacksonville should be 5-2,
Mhm.
yet they've done a lot of things wrong so far, particularly on the offensive side of the football.
Rick Ballew's our guest. This is such a critical game, and I know with all your platforms and what you do with the Jaguars, with the Raiders here, the Raiders have been disappointing. But I tell everybody out here, this is my 28th year with the team, and I've seen good teams, really good teams, a Super Bowl contending team and some really bad ones. This is a decent team. Like when you got Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, that Jeremy Chin, we got a really good kicker and an excellent punter. The team is good. They're just playing bad football, and they have to kind of snap out of it. This is a must-win game for the Raiders. If they can get the 3 wins, then they could look ahead and maybe find a couple of more on the schedule. I think it's just as important for the Jags here because where they're at in the division, they're playing for the wild card with Daniel Jones now and what he's doing. Does it feel like that? Does the pressure feel like Jacksonville's got to come out to Vegas and get a win to get their season back on track?
Yeah, maybe not as much. I mean, to them, sure, they would say that. But if you really look ahead, I think the schedule favors Jacksonville the second half of the season compared to what Indianapolis has. And, of course, they're the best team and the biggest surprise in the NFL. Houston's really the wild card here because it feels like they're starting to make their way back. But if you look at their 2 future schedules and compare it over the next 10 weeks to Jacksonville, it just appears that the Jaguars' schedule is going to be an easier one. What they don't want to deal with is another loss because this was a 4-1 team that lost 2 in a row. They played terrible against Seattle. It was a 1-possession game. It's frankly one that they should have been able to win. The Seahawks were missing 3 defensive backs in that game, and Jacksonville just couldn't score. 2 weeks ago in London against the Rams, they just got blown out. It was just one of those games you could tell for the first 5 minutes in the first quarter that it was going to be a laugher. But, for Jacksonville here, they just went on the road to London. You get a bye week, you go on the road now to Vegas, and then you turn around, you go on the road against a divisional opponent in Houston. So, this is big. If they can get one, I think realistically, if Jacksonville can get one of these 2 road games before they return back home, and get to 5-4, I think they would take that. Again, if you look at the playoff teams that they've already faced, and then look at the playoff teams that are ahead of them, the schedule does work towards their favor. So I think that's something that maybe they're not necessarily looking at because we understand it's a week-to-week league. But certainly the media's been talking about it, and the fans are fully aware of it.
Rick Ballou joins us, great sports talk host, covers the Jaguars. How many years you been covering the Jags?
Well, I left Florida State and Tallahassee, came over here in year 2 in '96, and then I went to Chicago for 7 years and did one-on-one sports and sporting news radio, came back here in '06. So I've been back since '06. I guess that's about 24 of the 31 years, I think, I've been covering the Jags.
Yeah, you've had a great run and continued success. I've been going back there. So as I said earlier, my in-laws live in St. Augustine. So we're there once or twice a year. We love it. And, my nieces, my sister-in-law. So I'm going to end up there at some point in my life. That's just one of the places that I feel like it's calling me to live and live a chunk of my life. I'm not going to leave Vegas, but all the years I've been coming there and to see the growth and the brand and the size of Duval County and the actual population, I believe the largest county in the United States of America. Shad Khan has got his eyes on London, but he also has his eyes on Jacksonville and redevelopment. What is going on with the stadium redevelopment, the growth around the stadium? Is this going to work long-term? Is it really happening? Get me up to speed.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, they signed a 30-year lease, and the development is already underway. I mean, it's a mess downtown. They're, reconfiguring a certain part of the stadium now, and they will continue that next year. As a matter of fact, next year, this Saturday will be the final Florida, Georgia, world's largest outdoor cocktail party for 3 years. They'll go to Athens and then go to Gainesville before returning to Jacksonville. The Jaguars are still going to play home games there. At least that's the plan in 2026. In 2027, they're going to have to head out, and the two places that keep getting mentioned are Orlando and Gainesville. I happen to think they're going to end up playing in Orlando, so that is what they'll have to do in 2027, and then by 2028, the stadium should be completely done, and they'll be locked in for about 30 more years.
Well, so what's working so well in London for Shad Khan and his son? Because they always want to go back. Obviously, they're building a fan base there. It's been good for business. Clearly developing Jacksonville and staying there with the lease you're talking about. But how has that business model worked overseas for the brand overall?
You know, they used to have a State of the Dress with President Mark Lansing. They did that every year. They haven't done it really since, I think, COVID. But the revenue stream was reported to be around 15 to maybe 17, 18% of the entire game. So it made a lot of sense for Shad Khan and Tony Khan to take this game to London for a week. No one else likes it. I've been over there 7 times. I can't stand it.
Whoa. Wait a second. I've been there twice. It's been 2 of the most glorious, one win and a loss. But here's why. Because I treated it like a vacation. Sideline reporter for the Raiders for those games. We're staying at the Grosvenor House. Mark Davis, all expensive pay, at buffets, cocktails, pubs. I mean, you've gone there a lot because Jacksonville go. How could you not like that work trip? It's a work trip in London.
Because I didn't see the sun.
Oh,
I didn't see the sun in either one of my 7 trips. Now, did you say you stayed at the Grove?
The Grosvenor House, which is one of the nicer hotels in downtown London.
Okay. We stayed at the Grove, which is, I mean, you can have a Stephen King movie and film built from the Grove. I mean, there's not, there's nothing within 15 miles of this place. You don't have to worry about a distraction. And then the other times, the team hotel are right across the street from Wembley, which is kind of reminds me of the old Orange Bowl in Miami, or maybe the LA Coliseum, where everything around it is really beat down and it's not necessarily a nice place. It's just a long trip, and I think it could, the type of beer I like over there, which is I'm very simple. If I can't get a room temperature Guinness, I like an ice cold Bud Light, a Coors Light, or something like that. I have trouble finding them in London. So, but the bottom line is this: I happen to be one of those guys that's like, you've got to get it. Have your A game here, okay? And then they start talking about one game, and then they started talking about a second game over there. Then you have a home and away, where let's just stay for an extra week and play an away game, at the other site in London. So for me, it was just too much, and I don't think anyone goes on record and says that besides myself. But I got to tell you, JT, I don't ever need to go back to London.
Interesting. Rick, if I don't see you, I host the pregame show from the Torch, the Big Al Davis Torch. You can't miss it inside with Hall of Famer Eric Allen. If you got a chance, please come by and say hi, or I'll see you in the press box Sunday.
All right, man. Always a lot of fun. Thank you.
You got it. Rick Ballou. How fun was that conversation? So when I started my career, Clay, and he mentioned one-on-one sports, they competed with us at Sports Fan Radio.
Out of Chicago.
So I was on at night, and Jacksonville carried my show. And it was into morning drive. So at that time when I did the midnight shift, which was 3 a.m. till 6 a.m. Eastern time, had a big audience in Jacksonville. And I got to know people there. And then my in-laws who live in Lincoln, Illinois, they have a home in St. Augustine. So every year I go down to St. Augustine for a nice vacation. Have you been to St. Augustine?
I'd like to. It's the nation's oldest city,
It's the oldest city in America, Ponce de Leon. They have an amazing cathedral, Catholic church there, which is one of the nicest in the world. The Pope has done mass there, but it's obviously on the water, the Lions Bridge. It's incredible. And it's got a pirate vibe to the city. So there's a walking part of town called St. George Street where it's just an old town. It's like an old city.
An old mission town.
It's incredible. And the restaurants are great. And we spend a lot of time at the beach. So at some point in my life, I will move to St. Augustine, and I'll keep my home here in Vegas, and I'll come back and forth. And hopefully, as long as I'm doing this and working with the team or doing the YouTube, right? You can take the YouTube anywhere. It really is one of my favorite spots, man. And I want to get my wife closer to her family, which is there. Like, I want to be closer to my family. And that's a nice kind of go between for us. All right. We're going to have Levi Edwards, hopefully. Levi's ready. So we'll come back with Levi Edwards and we'll go right into wasted talent. How about that? Who has that other than Clay's Morning Show or Q? That's a hell of a lineup. We are brought to you by the Black Hole. Hey, Black Hole, what's going on this weekend? Cisco, let me know about it. Mark Jones, we love the Black Hole.
Previously.
Hey, Brad, perfect timing. I just want. I love when they deliver. Excuse me. So there's a restaurant, Joe's Crab. They have it in Florida, as you know. You know that, Clay, do you know that the Joe's Crab in Florida, original Joe's, does 400 million? 400 million at a restaurant. Not 100 million. So they have one here and they cater food to us once a week and it's Q's account. Q handles that and everybody runs like scavengers to eat. Incredible. Levi Edwards will join us.
Trusted business partner. Find out how to have pro-group
It's JT the Brick Show. How's it going, man?
website at PGMN.
All right, fine, thanks. Is this a good time for a couple minutes?
Savings analysis now. That's PGMN.com. Or call our Las Vegas office at 702-750.
And they're good. Then we'll have wasted talent right after that. How about that?
We'll come back with Pete on Tyler Lockett being back.
And highlight is Pete's Taverns. Catch every football and Vegas Golden Knights game with food and drink specials from $5. Plus, play for your shot at a VGK jersey.
Okay. What are you playing here, Clay?
Pete on Tyler Lockett.
Pete on Tyler Lockett.
Whiskey, PT's Taverns. Instant plus collide. Drinks flow, and every tavern has a winner. Visit ptstaverns.com to find your neighborhood tavern today.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Casa Verde Laundry. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
I think more than as far as immediately how much he can help. But he's a tremendous football player. He's got great background, great savvy, playmaking ability, a real natural sense about understand how to play the game. He and Brock and Jacoby share a lot of characteristics, and how they play the game and how they make things happen and make it look effortless at times. So Locke has been a great performer historically, and I'm thrilled to have him part of the program. I want to see how fast we can move the thing along, see if we can contribute.
Why wouldn't you be happy to have Tyler Lockett? He's a very good player. Is he past his prime? We'll see, but he's a very good player. I mean, he's a really good player. And the Raiders get him. I would have liked to have gotten him 7 years ago. They didn't. They get him now. JT, back with you. Levi Edwards joins us, brought to us by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. UNLV back. We love being a Caniac. We love Cane's. Went through the drive-through the other day on Sahara in Fort Apache, where we lived there. And Levi, remind me, I got to take you to Cane's because I'm sure you love the buttery Texas toast, the cold slaw. Are you a lemonade or iced tea guy at Cane's?
So I actually have a secret concoction that I drink at Cane's. What I do is I take the high C fruit punch and then I mix it with the lemonade. So that's actually what I get, and I do a high C lemonade. So that's what I usually get when I'm at Cane's. That's actually pretty damn good.
That is ridiculous. How did you come up with that? Are you just messing around at the fountain one day and said, I'm going to mix a high C drink together?
Actually, one night I went to Cane's at like 2 a.m. and I was trying to order something, and I asked for a lemonade, and the representative, the cashier, was just like, "Hey, do you want to try the high C fruit punch with the lemonade? Because it's something we've been doing lately." And I was like, that's not what I asked for, but those are the only 2 drinks I do get when I do go to Cane's. So yeah, let's just mix that up and let's make something work. And they did, and I've been getting that every time.
Wow!
And this happened maybe about 2 years ago. Everything else was pretty much closed, and Cane's right down the street from me, and I got it, and I've been rocking with that since. So
we love it.
I'm just trying to put you guys onto it.
Yeah, well, we love Cane's. Thank you for that. All right, let's jump in. Give me something good from practice today. Behind the scenes, everybody watching and listening. Levi, when I'm not at practice. Levi, when I'm at practice, I'll text him, what did I miss? Because you're watching everything. Give our listeners something or a few things to be encouraged about.
Well, the number one thing to be encouraged about is the fact that Brock Bowers is close to 100% healthy. He's been at practice the last couple of days, and he's looked really good. Definitely as close to week 1 or going into week 1 as I've seen. Obviously, even though he played a couple more games after he got hurt against the Patriots, he still just didn't look necessarily the same or at full strength. And we also saw that in game action as well. But just watching him go out and do some drills, do stuff on the field, kind of move around, he definitely looks like he is really getting close to being 100%, which is going to be huge because week 1 with Geno Smith, he had 103 yards for 5 catches, really explosive game, and he's going to open up everything for the other receivers as well. So just him being close to full strength to being on the field is just going to add a dynamic to the Raiders offense that we all know is going to be hugely beneficial.
I thought Levi Edwards is our guest. Find him at Raiders.com, all his great content. When I interviewed Coach Carroll this week, I never walked out of a meeting in an interview so fixed on him wanting to run the ball. I know he wants to run the ball. I don't know if it was the eye contact we were making when we were talking about it, and I don't think it's a huge knock on Geno and the offense. I don't want people to take it that way, but oh boy, he wants to run the ball, and that's what he comes from, and that's what he thrives with. Do you think after the bye week there's a big-time emphasis after Kansas City to get Ashton Genty going?
Man, I think that was a huge emphasis for Kansas City. I think that was a huge emphasis for Kansas City, for the Colts, before all of these games. That's your emphasis when you take Ashton Genty with the number 6 pick in the draft and make him the first running back off the board, and you give him, the role that he has out the gate. So that's always been the emphasis, not just because of what's happened in the last couple of weeks. You draft a guy like that with that being the emphasis, and it just hasn't it's not like it hasn't been working, but it's just been very inconsistent. And it's a lot to do with everyone involved. Where Ashton Genty still is trying to get acclimated to the NFL, trying to make sure that he's going through these cuts quicker, making sure he's making the right reads, going through the right gaps, but also the line has to block better as well. I think the offensive line, for the most part, has been a much better pass blocking team where Geno Smith is taking a lot of sacks, but when you look at the advanced analytics of things, he's still getting a lot of time in the pocket. But the run blocking has been massively, I would say, not decreased when it comes to how they perform. So it really is on all parts, and they do really need to get the run game going, especially with the talent that Ashton has. And you see every other team in the NFL that's successful right now, and you look at the Colts and you look at the Chiefs and even the Eagles. They all have a very solidified running game. The Packers, another team that I was trying to think of, all these teams are able to run the ball, and it helps tremendously in terms of keeping defense on their toes, and the Raiders need to do that pretty soon.
Levi Edwards, as we wrap it up. So I really I'm past make or break game, must win. Been doing this too long. Team's been losing a lot. They have to win this game. This isn't the 85 Bears. This is the 25 Jacksonville Jaguars. They're good. They're not elite. They haven't played well. They lead the league in drops. They got a lot of problems going on. Rick Ballou, who just joined us from Jacksonville, their sideline reporter, said 76 pressures on Trevor Lawrence in the last 2 games. 76. That's never been heard of before. Max has got to have a big day, so we're assuming Max is going to play. I've been waiting on Malcolm Kuntz and Tyree Wilson. Come on, Levi. These guys are going to get going. I don't want to hear that Kuntz is playing okay or Tyree from time to time plays well. Can they play great? If they want to be here, they got to play great from time to time. Are they both capable of having a great game?
I definitely think so. And I'm not trying to make excuses for Malcolm because I know you're not trying to hear that, JT. What I will say is, I'm going to give myself a quick plug on Raiders.com. I did a feature story on Malcolm Kuntz and his recovery back from his injury, his season-ending injury that was really brutal last year. And when I talked to Malcolm, when I talked to coaches, and I talked to his training staff that worked with him on the rehab, they all expected for Malcolm to kind of look the way that he has these first couple of weeks. And then it takes time to really trust yourself, but also get back into the rhythm that you were after an injury like that and a rehab like that. So if Malcolm Kuntz is going to pop off and be the guy that we know he can be, now is the time. Now is the time that he should fully have his legs underneath him and be able to go. So I'm expecting for him to play a lot better in the second half of the season, especially compared to how he played in the first half. And the guys, like you said, they have to step up. Tyree, you're putting him all across the line, and he's been all right. But, he can play a little better. Jonah Laulu, he's been making some splash plays, and he's been getting a lot of credit for how he's been able to play recently, make splash plays. But just him, being every down defensive tackle consistently, he can continue to work on that. And then Adam Butler, we don't know what his stats will be as well as Max, but Adam Butler's a really big piece. So we really need to see a real collective performance from the defensive line. You can't have Max going out there, going crazy while he's getting double, triple teams and getting chipped, and he's already hurt. The other 4 guys who are rushing on blitz, they really got to step up. So against the Jaguars offensive line and against a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, I think that's possible, though.
Levi Edwards, you've been around here for a bit, but you're a young man. Do you have a George Atkinson story? Because you go to a lot of Raider games and events, and George was a mainstay.
I do have one slight George Atkinson story. So growing up, I would always used to watch him on NFL Films or NFL Network because they always did those top 10 shows on NFL Network that I watch all the time, and he was always just so hilarious on them. And he coined the term immaculate deception. Yes. And I just always thought that was pretty hilarious to describe that play. But I would always see him in the cafeteria, and I talked to him and just kind of, pick his brains because, when you're a great like that, you always got to talk about stuff. And a lot of those older players, they really love to relive, the glory days and relive, what they accomplished. And they need to be reminded of what they accomplished because he was a very integral part of Raiders history, and he'll be missed. And he was always nice and respectful to me. He's a guy that my dad grew up watching, a part of the Soul Patrol. So he's a huge, like I said, intricate piece of this history of the franchise, and he'll dearly be missed.
Thank you, Levi. Nicely said. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, JT. I appreciate you.
You got it. Levi Edwards, brought to you by Fountain Blue. Let me tell you something about Fountain Blue. They hosted the Summerlin South Little League team at the Hall of Excellence. Reggie Jackson was there, Jim Gray. So I talked to Reggie about it. How cool is that? I have a friendship with Reggie Jackson. I said, Reggie, what was it like to talk to the kids? Reggie Jackson, Mr. October, who has a display at the Hall of Excellence, told me it brought him back to being a kid. So the Summerlin South Little League team was brought to the Hall of Excellence, Fontainebleau, second floor. You have to go. So we love the Fontainebleau. It's our new partner here. We're here for the Hall of Excellence. We tell everybody about that. Tom Brady's complete collection is there, from his draft card to all 7 of his rings. Jim and Fran Gray and their collection is incredible. You won't believe what Jim and Fran Gray have as a collection of memorabilia, not just sports. I mean, Elvis's suits in there. You look at Oprah Winfrey's Medal of Freedom. Everything that's in there is mind-blowing. Bill Russell, when you think of Bill Russell, it's pretty incredible. Will Chamberlain's 100-point scoring card. There's only one. It's at the Hall of Excellence. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. I've been to all the Hall of Fames, Cooperstown, Canton, Ohio, Springfield, Mass. This is in Vegas. Please go to the Fontainebleau. You'll just love the property, all the restaurants, the game. It's incredible. Excellence at the top. But the Hall of Excellence, proud partner of the show. Wasted Talent joins us every 2 weeks. I can't wait to talk to this guy because he's got a big podcast. He talks to Raider Nation. And, man, haven't talked to you since before that Kansas City game. Did you burn the tape? Did you look at it? What was your takeaway from that?
I did more than burn the tape. I looked at the game. I broke the television. It was a disgusting display, man. I don't think I've been that upset about a football game in 20 years, man. I mean, it was bad. Hopefully, coming back from this bye week, we kind of exercised it being one of the worst games I've seen in a long time.
It was one of the worst. The defense gave up a lot of points, and they were on the field too much. But I cannot believe how poorly the offense played. And, the offensive line's been a problem for most of the year. And Gino with the interceptions is a clear problem here. But I really wish Ash and Genty didn't take a beating in that game before the bye week, because Raiders are going to need him going forward. I just think the bye week came at a good time to get him going now. Are you optimistic that he could get going against the Jaguars?
Well, yeah, I am. Because I think the mandate coming from Pete Carroll, and I heard you speak about this earlier, and I've been noticing Pete Carroll is serious about running the football. And anybody who thinks differently is crazy. I mean, this is something that he's always done. It's been a hallmark of wherever he's been. When he was at USC, you had Lindell White, you had Reggie Bush, and Joe McKnight and all of those guys. And even when he came to the National Football League, that is exactly what the Seattle Seahawks did with Marshawn Lynch. So Pete Carroll's always been serious about running the football. It's the reason why they took, a running back that high. And I think that this has to be an issue with Pete Carroll and making Chip Kelly, as far as a play caller, aware that you can't really abandon the run. Even if it seems like it's not working, you have to continue down the rock, because Ashton Genty's the kind of player that, he might get stopped, he might lose a few yards, and then next thing you know, boom, him not running the football, probably ran up 2 times in the game against Kansas City. And his second run came with 9 minutes left in the second quarter. That's inexcusable. And I think that the Raiders are going to come out and really, really get into sets where they can try to just move the ball and just commit to giving that man the ball at least 10 to 15 times in the first half.
What makes you think the offensive line is going to make some holes in this one?
I'm praying, Jason. I think one of the main things about offensive line play, them having a Barkham, just, cohesiveness, playing together. Losing Colton Miller is something that can't be understated. He is one of the best left tackles in football, and him not being there is something that a lot of people don't bring up. It's almost like they forget that we've lost our best offensive lineman. I think 2 things. I think that, one, having Brock Bowers back and having a complete Brock Bowers opens things up. It doesn't allow the defense to spin their ears back and kind of get after Genty. Brock Bowers not being there and keeping a bunch of wide receivers who, are young, talented young players, Dante Thornton and Jack Best. He's a young, talented player, but they're new and they're trying to figure it out. And they've played a lot of snaps this year. And I think defenses have just pretty much Shannon and Genty, and we're having Brock Bowers out there. They're not going to be allowed to do that because Geno should probably make them pay. Now, the one thing is, the more that Stone Forsythe plays, the more that, DJ Glaze plays, more snaps that they have together, I think that you'll get a more cohesive product. And also, these guys having a week off, getting healthy. Raiders have kind of been chasing their tails the whole season because of the way the schedule has kind of fallen for us. The NFL has done the Raiders no favors with the schedule. And I love the fact that they have rest and they can kind of get out there, and you're going to see probably closest to what we saw in New England this week without Colton Miller.
Wasted talent is our guest. You nailed it. There's no excuse. If they can't come off the bye week rested with healthy players coming back and play a great game at home, a really good game, maybe their best football, then there's big problems. Then, there's not much time I have left here with Geno. I love Geno. I don't like him. I love Geno. I know how good of a player he was. And I don't know if you talk about this on your show, but a lot of Raider fans who are super negative on Geno, I remind them, I go, well, Geno's never played this bad. So don't act like Geno's done this before. No, Geno was a career backup at one point. Then he became a starter, became a Pro Bowler, and excelled. And Raider fans are treating him like trash. They're treating him like he's a bum. He's not a bum. He's been a very good quarterback in this league, top 10 for multiple seasons. Not top 5, but definitely in the top 10. And now he's got to get going again. And I think the Raider fans will get behind him if he starts winning.
Yeah, of course. That's what it's all about. Sports is a transactional medium, right? Like, when we're winning, everyone's happy. When you're losing, the work comes out of everything, right? And, look, Geno Smith has not done himself any favors this year, leading the league in interceptions. But that's part and parcel of the fact that he's not being protected. Like, when you snap the football and if you have a defensive tackle or an end in your lap, it's very hard to be successful. It's super hard to be successful. And that's one of the reasons why, for me, like during the trade deadline, there were a lot of rumors out there. They brought in Tyler Lockett to kind of, help Geno along because that's a friend of his. That's kind of a security blanket, so to speak, for him. I know that move, some people might think it has something to do with Jacoby Myers. I don't see it that way. I see it as strictly being a move to Geno Smith. They were trying to bring in a veteran wide receiver all season. They tried to bring in Amari Cooper. That didn't really work out. I think that's a move that's going to help this room. You have a bunch of young receivers, and they need to kind of see what good looks like. And there's none better than Tyler Lockett to kind of, be that steward for those young guys. But for Geno, he has a guy he's familiar with. He's a guy he has just a connection with. And a lot of those third down plays where Geno's throwing the ball up, when you have younger guys, they don't really understand how to adjust and I'm not blaming them, right? But Tyler Lockett is a guy that if he can get separation, and that's kind of been an issue for him the last few years, if you can kind of, dial up his touchdown and using good little separation, Geno can put the ball in certain places and spaces, even though he's a smaller guy, where he's going to adjust to the football because of the kind of, connection that they've had over the years, knows how Geno's where he's going to put the ball. And I think it's going to help the Raiders out on third down big time.
So for those who are new to you, and everybody loves you, I'm looking at my chat, everybody just is thrilled when you come on. Tell everybody about your platform, how you're gaining momentum. What are your goals with your show? And, just tell us a little bit more about your personal life, where you are and what you're doing.
Well, my platform is, thank you, JP. My platform is something that started out of my love for the team. And I've continued on, and we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, and we're trying to represent for Raider Nation. Give them information, not affirmation. Give them real take, and just really, really, like I am not the kind of Raider fan. I'm honest, but I'm not the Raider fan who's looking to be negative. You have some people that it almost seems like they want us to.
Yeah,
I'm not into that. I'm into. Look, I'm not delusional, but I'm the kind of person that will tell you how I think it can work, as opposed to just coming in and crapping all over the team. It's almost like some people are fans of being negative, and that's not That's not where I am. My platform. So I want to always, highlight what's good about the team, get everybody hyped up and engaged about our team, and hopefully in the next few years we win.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, and this is one of the great organizations in sports. Period. Not just football. And it's time for us to start winning again.
Yeah, I want to stay on that for a second because I catch a lot of shrapnel when the team loses and I get blamed for it. And I ask the coach questions, fair questions, and people think it's soft or whatever. And I've learned to live with it. But what gets me the most upset, and I know it's a small group, it's not a big group because I'm at the games and I talk to all fans in the parking lot at the Torch, and they're all very kind and they love the team. But man, the fans who claim to be Raider fans, and I'm talking directly to them, the ones who claim they're Raider fans. And yes, I wasn't born a Raider fan, but I've proven my worth to the Raider Nation at most 30 years. You're a diehard Raider fan. The fans that claim to be Raider fans and they have Raider in their bio or Raider in their name, and they get so personal and trash the coach and the players the way they do, they are the biggest bleeping cowards I've ever met in my life. I've never met one of them up close. They're all assassins and trolls. And I'm just directly saying this because you're a guy, I love the tone of your voice and your level of being calm, plus what you do, that, I don't know, I think it's like 1% of Raider fans or less, or maybe 2%, and they live on social media, and they're just so negative. But then they want to be such great Raider fans. They want to be the best fans at their sports bar and at the airport. They love the Raiders. And then they go out of their way to get personal with a 74-year-old coach or a quarterback or someone else or an alumni who does a TV show and they rip on him. And I'm happy that you say that you're not about that because the team hasn't been playing good for a while. We all know that, but you can be critical without being negative on purpose.
Yeah, you have to be. Listen, we all want this team to win, right? Like for the most part, 99% of that's what we want, right? Now, the word of fan is fanatic. You have fanatical behavior on both ends. You have some people who are overly optimistic, and then you have some people who are overly negative. The thing is, the most important thing is if you are a person with a platform, right? Now, people who don't have a platform and they're allowed to conduct themselves how they want to. It is what it is. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? We all have a choice. But when you have a platform, you have people listening to you, you have to make sure that you give them information and you're fair. And the one thing about me is I'm fair. I don't agree with every move that P has made. I don't agree with everything that the Raiders do. But what I can do is I can tell you my opinion on it, and I can understand why certain situations and certain things have transpired. Now, we start talking about the season, right? If it's not what we all expected, because I do have a lot of faith in Pete Carroll. I think that Pete Carroll's a Hall of Fame coach, right? What I think the problem is, and this is what happens when you have a situation where teams have a lot of turnover. If you have an amalgamation of pieces that don't, it's like the land of misfit toys. So you have Carroll has his idea of what a Raider looks like, and then you still have a bunch of people on the roster that Tom Telesco. And then you have a bunch of people, Josh McDaniels talks in here. You have people that John Gruden talks in here. And now you have to give whoever in charge the latitude to make this thing in their image. Now, me, and when we talk about the only thing, and I'm going to be critical.
Yeah.
Some of the this is a great thing to have as a person, but the loyalty that he has to some of his older players kind of concerns me a bit. But I think that after the bye, I think that you're going to see him play for the younger players like Darian Porter. He deserves to play at this point, right? I think that you're going to see, him go up. I think he allowed Chip Kelly to kind of do things and in his way. But I think that Pete Carroll going public and saying that he wants to run that's not just a mandate for Raider Nation. That's a mandate for the coaching staff and who's ever calling the plays on the offense. So I think we are going to get closer to what we expected going on in the second half because I can't see the situation careening out of control the way it has in years past.
Absolutely. Fabulous job as always. Again, tell everyone where they can find your show.
Raider Nation Unlimited on YouTube, at We Talent Raiders on Twitter and on Instagram. JT, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for bringing me on your platform.
You got it, buddy. Take care. Wasted talent. He's fantastic. I don't get credit. I didn't discover him, but I'm the guy who put him on this channel because I was on his show and I said, man, this guy's good. And you hear his tone, very calm. He's not like me. I scream and yell and my voice is shot by the weekend. He is very calm. He's like the Charles Woodson of Raider podcasts. And when we talk about the negativity, you know, I'm really negative too when the Raiders lose. And I tell everyone now, all I tell people now is watch my interview with Pete Carroll. I ask him everything. I don't ask it to him in a mean way. I don't yell at him. I don't yell at the coach. I don't belittle the coach because I wouldn't have my job if I belittled another human being. But for some fans want me to yell at the coach. No. I ask him about the quarterback. I ask him about the defense. I ask him why the team isn't playing well. And he talks about it in a calm manner. Antonio Pierce was much louder, much more in our face. But I like that style. John Gruden was brilliant. Rich Bisaccia used to have his notes, Clay, in front of him. He'd have his notes, and we'd have a great interview. Josh McDaniels, for everybody who hated Josh McDaniels, he was a great play caller, not with the Raiders. With the Patriots, he's doing it again. But interviewing him for a year and a half, he was he's just a whiz. His brain worked very fast when it came to, like, talking football, but he didn't connect as a head coach. Okay, I don't hate the guy. You never met him. You never met him. You know how good of a dad he is and good person. But, you know, Mark Davis's mom just passed away. George Atkinson just passed away. And you put up some remarks, even when people pass away, and some people in the trolls have the gall to make a comment about the Raiders. Mrs. Davis just passed away. In her tribute, don't mention the team and the quarterback. It's disgusting. Okay? Pay respects to people when they pass. Pay respects to people in person. Because most of the trolls, if Pete Carroll walked into the room, they grab their phone and take a selfie and ask for an autograph. But they go on with some eggshell, no name and no picture, and they rip on a 74-year-old grandfather who's trying to win. It really is bad. But fortunately, they're anonymous. They're not at the Torch. They're not at La Casa tomorrow. They're nowhere. They've never been seen, but they sure know how to be negative. And you have the right to be negative and critical. Just don't make it personal. I guess I just made it personal, Clay. I called them trolls and anonymous, and they hide. I guess I did make it personal. I apologize for that. I apologize 5 times a day. I apologize to my wife 3 times before my first cup of coffee every day. Goodbye to the bricklayers on YouTube. They were great today, as always. We appreciate that. We'll wrap it up next.
Join me, Clay Baker, this Thursday at the August.
All right. That was a hell of a show. Now, this is the type of show that you can share. You can share this show and tell people what we do. So everybody who's here, please share the show. That's all I ask. Share the show. Appreciate you. Look for all the Raider television shows. I'm on Silver and Black Show this week and Raiders Rundown Saturday.